programs. Welcome back to Arc Neo Reviews. So, today is going to be, like I've said on Twitter a few times, a self-indulgent video on my birthday. So, I'm going to be looking at and counting down the top 10 Starscream figures that I own. I can't stress that part enough. I'm sure there's figures that, if I had them, would have been on this list. I don't have them. And if I don't have it, I can't put it on the list. So keep that in mind before you go, well, why isn't, Armada, Starscream on here? I don't have Armada Starscream. I mean, if someone wants to help me out with that, DM me on Twitter or something. But as it stands, yeah. This is the top 10 Starscream figures that I own. Arbitrarily, I did try to make a bit of a diverse list, I guess that you would say. I've made sure that I chose like all kinds of different size classes and stuff to make it interesting, as well as the other sort of unwritten rule. This guy is actually not on the list. And for anyone horrified at that, I mean, it's masterpiece Starscream. This is the only masterpiece Starscream that I own. It was a little too obvious. So, go ahead, count this guy as the technical number one, and just consider the rest of this list my 11 through 2. So, whatever lets you sleep at night. Yes, clearly I adore the heck out of this figure, even if his weapon is keeping that arm down, or that wing. But, yeah, this thing's still wonderful. But with that, let's go ahead and get to the 10. Now, some of these figures are kind of close, so until we get to number 1, do keep in mind that these are fairly close in my overall ranking. Depending on the day, I could have put any of them into any other spot as well. So, these figures are all close, so if, the one that you like the most is, low on my list, I still had to like it a lot to put it on this list. So, take comfort in that. Anyway, enough waffling on and trying to keep people from getting mad in a video that will make people mad. Let's get going. Number 10. So, starting off number 10 here, keeping it really simple, and this is my Legends class count for the list. It's the tiny RID Starscream. I've got a lot of Legends class Starscreams, but out of all of them, this one is just by far the best. It's got really good range of articulation all over the place. It's got a really solid paint job, great molded detail, and just overall, yeah, for a small, Legends scale Starscream, for me, this one won head and shoulders above all the others I have. Though, there is a honorable mention here to Cybertron Legends Starscream. This was obviously one of the first Legends class figures ever made. It is really good. Literally what held it back, though, is the fact that his arms can't actually bend forward at the elbow. They go backwards at the elbow, but not forward. So, yeah. Honorable mention here, count him as the 11, or I guess 12, however this mess works. There's a reason haven't been doing a whole bunch of top 10s, but yeah. Either way, this guy is your number 10, the RID Legion Starscream? I think it was Legion class officially, but it's a Legends figure in my mind. This is your number 10. number 9, we have Battle Class Cyberverse Starscream. I needed a Cyberverse version on here because, again, I am trying to keep this, a diverse list. Otherwise, it would oddly be mostly movie Starscreams. So, yeah, this was my pick of the Cyberverse line. This is easily the best Starscream that we have. I love the armor gimmick, as simple as it is, and, obviously kind of silly as it is. But even, popping the armor off here, you have a very, very solid little Scout class Starscream. It's a little lacking in paint, but everything else on it is really good. It's got decent articulation. I wish it had head joint and, maybe a bicep swivel. You gave it that, this thing would be perfect. Even without it, though, this is a really good small class Starscream. Now, I know that we're supposed to be getting, or at least I've heard we're getting, a Kingdom Core class Starscream. If that was out at this time, it would definitely have overthrown this guy. I've also heard there might be a second line of Cyberverse Deluxe, which will have a Starscream in it. That too would have overthrown this one. As it stands, for the Cyberverse entry on this list, yeah, Battle Class Starscream. Number 8. So, number 8 here, it's Energon Starscream. This thing's honestly really, really cool. And in fact, the one thing keeping it lower on the list is the version that I have. So this is obviously the main Hasbro release. And as you can see, there's a lot of clear plastic in all kinds of joints. That does worry me for longevity of this guy. Because, we know how it goes with Hasbro and clear plastic joints. There is a version of him they released that was basically just painted as the G1 Starscream. That if you're going to get a version of this guy, get that one. I know that one's a little bit harder to find, it's more expensive, but it's not covered in clear plastic. But clear plastic aside, this is still a really cool figure. It's one of the earlier F-22 Starscream figures, which is neat. It's got this insane weapon of mass compensation going on, which I love. This is actually the earliest ridiculously large Starscream weapon that I know of. I'm sure there are others, but that I know of and that I own, this is the oldest one. It's just a lot of fun. It's a really weird, really cool figure. So, yeah, number 8. Number 7. For number 7, this is actually a figure I'm very nostalgic over, but this is the War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, Generations Deluxe Starscream. And I wanted to put this one higher because I do love this whole, line of Decepticons so much. Just all these, Cybertronian video game form ones. And this guy was almost higher, except for 2 reasons. One, this is the figure where being hollow actually manages to bug me. Because it is so blatant. As well as, I had some serious QC issues with this guy when I got him. His head is actually just, I guess it doesn't show, but I actually had to glue his head together because his head just fell apart a couple days after I got him. So, I don't know if that's a widespread issue, but I do know that the Thundercracker and Skywarp version of this mold, those are built substantially better, but, they all have, again, this really, really ridiculous hollow just void going straight through them. It's a little bit of a bummer. I can't bring myself to put it higher because of that. But either way, still really fun, really cool figure, and one of the older Starscreams in my collection, actually. NumberSix. NumberSix is a figure that I just got done talking about not long ago. That's going to be Siege Starscream. Now, this figure is really great in a lot of ways. What's holding this one back and putting it, a little bit lower on the list, technically higher, I guess, but whatever. Mainly, it's not the whole chest thing, because like I, talked to death about in my video, the chest isn't a big deal. What's holding him back for me is just the sheer size of the backpack. I know Starscream's supposed to have his wings out all the time, but this is a bit much, as well as he's the most blatant shell former I've seen in a long time that wasn't named RC. Like, I've seen plenty of pictures where people have just completely removed the backpack, and they just have an extra toy now of the Tetrajet mode separate from Starscream, And it's like, Starscream figures in particular, we've kind of come to expect, quite a bit better, because he does get some truly, truly great figures. So this one, yeah, it's still good as a figure. The transformation is just kind of meh. So, again, NumberSix. There you go. Mid-video bonus round. The bottom 5 Starscreams that I own. NumberFive. So, NumberFive here, another actually fairly long-standing figure in my collection. And that is actually the Generations version of Armada Starscream. Now, I know there's a lot of changes between this one and the original Armada version, so I do count these ones as very separate figures, even though they're different designs. Again, I don't have the original Armada version. The only other Armada Starscream that I have is the Happy Meal toy, which we're not going to talk about for obvious reasons. But, yeah, this is another one where I had some issues with the head when I first got it. I don't know what it is with me getting Starscream figures back when I started collecting with head issues. But, I got it fixed up, and this thing is truly, truly a great figure. I really wish they would revisit it just to give it, a couple extra joints of articulation. But as it is, this figure is so cool. It's got so much, it's got really good presence on the shelf with the stance that it takes. Since, it's got molded angled feet and it has to have a wide A stance. But it looks great on the shelf. And they've remolded it into a couple different characters. The G-axis that they made out of this figure is incredible. And yes, I will be talking about it at some point, because it's a great figure. This one's great. I think they did a Thundercracker of it as well, which would technically be just powered up Starscream, because this was like the one show where Thundercracker was not just Blue Starscream, except for when he was. I don't know. The Unicron trilogy is weird, but yeah, this figure, NumberFive, fantastic figure. Oh boy, NumberFour! NumberFour is a little bit of a double feature, but the main figure of NumberFour is Earthrise Starscream, which means some people probably already guessed, yes, the piggyback on this number is Classics/Universe Starscream. I believe this one here being the Universe version? I can't remember, but this is the second version when he was white instead of gray and he had slightly different paint. But yeah, they took this figure, which was already a pretty good, Starscream. They made it bigger and they made it spectacular. I love this figure so stinking much. This is, in my mind, the quintessential, best G1 Starscream you can get. Obviously without just going masterpiece. But, he looks great. He feels great. The transformation's good. You can pop these wings off if you're a little rough on him and you do the wrong thing. I know there is actually a fix to keep the wings from popping off as easily. Really, if they could make this, fold down a little bit cleaner on the back, that's the only nitpick I have. Overall, this thing is great. This is when we are getting to, true Starscream greatness. And very, very deserving of his number 4 spot. Number 3. Alright, so number 3 spot here, probably actually my most controversial one, but here is where I'm going to put 2010 Hunt for the Decepticons Starscream. I know this figure is absolutely loved by so many people. I love the heck out of it myself. The only reason that I'm bumping it up to 3 is the kind of weird limits in articulation in the arms. At this size, I would have wanted a wrist swivel. That really is what it comes down to, is it should have had a wrist swivel. And while I like that they gave it a voice, the Optimus around this time, the big leader Optimus, they got, actual Optimus Prime, Peter Cullen himself, to do the voice clips. They used him. For this, the joke's been made. We got the janitor at the Hasbro office that night when they were making this figure. So, that part holds it back a little bit. The weird arm articulation holds it back. As well as I feel he's a little too tall for, our beloved Flying Dorito Man. But still, all those things aside, they are just nitpicks. This is a stunning and massive figure. And it's great. So, number 3. Number 2. Alright, so for number 2, we have another of the piggybacking figure duos. But here, the, again, main pick is Studio Series Voyager Starscream. Which means, yes, his piggyback is the Dark of the Moon Deluxe Starscream. Again, a lot like on number 4 with Earthrise, they took what was already a really good deluxe class figure, they made it bigger, and they made it better. Though, I do love this ridiculous weapon that the original deluxe class came with. But this thing, man, this is where it's at. This has got the extra articulation that I wish the Hunt for the Decepticons version had. It's got a fantastic head mold, great paint work all over it. If you want it with the tattoos, there's a version that has the tattoos, and it comes with a buzzsaw instead of this. So, again, the Hunt for the Decepticons one is good. This figure is where you're hitting, I feel, true greatness in Transformers. This thing is just, it's incredible. It's fun. It looks great. It poses amazingly. it's got everything that I want from a figure. Which means, yeah, it was hard to top this one, and it was hard not to justify putting this one at number 1. So, you know, number 2, fantastic, amazing figure. Number 1. For the top spot on this list, there really was no other figure I could justify putting here except for Transformers Prime First Edition Starscream. I know that there are technically other Starscream figures even on this list that have more articulation, but this figure has such a presence to it that there's no way this thing was taking anything but the number 1 spot. Like, the whole time I've been working on this list, I stuck this guy at number 1. Several times I tried to bring myself to overthrow him. I couldn't. This thing is amazing. It's got a really, really intricate, involved transformation. It does a great job of taking the on-screen design and transferring it into plastic. You know, just even just, you know, the way the hands are molded. Again, there's expression and life in this thing. It's so cool. Mine has a little bit of a crooked chin. I don't know why. It did since day 1. I don't care. I love it. The only downside of this guy is that it uses rubber for the missiles, the head crest, and the knee spikes. Mainly the missiles are where it's a problem. The head crest and knee spikes, I haven't actually had too much problem with them. Problem with them. I guess the nose tip is also rubber, but still, just I'm at a loss for words on this guy. This was either my first or second Starscream figure with this guy actually coming into my life the same night. So yeah, there's a reason I love these two so much. But this one just for years has stood as my favorite Transformer ever made. I dearly wish that they would just re-release this as a Voyager and, you know, swap the rubber parts for hard plastic. But still, either way, this thing is so great. It's so expressive. It's like having a cartoon character sitting on your desk. So, yeah, there is no way that I couldn't put this thing at number 1. It is easily, of my collection, the greatest Starscream I have that isn't Masterpiece. So, with that, hopefully you guys enjoyed this weird me sitting around rambling about my favorite character for however long this video ended up being. Again, I'm going to be taking a short break just because the holidays are very, very busy. But while I won't be putting out many videos, I do have the Trashmas video ready to go. That will be coming out sometime next week once I finish editing. And I have a video I'm getting ready for on New Year's. But even while I'm gone, I am going to be working on fine-tuning my editing and trying some new things. Because, again, there's only one of you over on Patreon, but there's someone on Patreon. So I'm going to do my best to earn that pledge and hopefully maybe someday earn some other pledges. So, yes, taking a break, but still going to be working during that break. Either way, thank you guys for watching, as always, and I will see you next time. The thumbnail is going to be Starscream giving a thumbs up. Do you think people will actually tell what's going on here?